who is this person? This is not Space Dandy. This is Space Randy. And why is he so mad? You could have done so much less, and it would have been better. Hello and welcome. This is Anime Art School, where I use stuff from anime and manga to teach you things that I learned in art school. Hello, my name is Allie, and I went to art school. Today we're looking at how overusing one design element, in this case diagonals, can overbalance your design and lead to it not succeeding in the end. Our subject is the promo from Space Dandy. So before I can show you the worst promo I've ever seen, I have to tell you a little bit about the thing that it's for so you can understand why it's so bad. Space Dandy is an anime from 2014. Maybe you knew about it in 2014, but I didn't know about it in 2014 because I wasn't watching anime in 2014, so everything's new to me. So, my husband and I have finished watching Kaguya-sama Love is War. I had finished all the JoJo. I wanted something kind of like that. Somebody suggested Love is War, and it was great. We loved it. So, then I was like, okay, but what now? So then, Crunchyroll suggests to me Space Dandy, but I didn't watch it. Do you know why I didn't watch it? Because of this ding-dang promo. What is Space Dandy? Space Dandy is a 2014 anime. It is directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who also directed Cowboy Bebop, which you probably have heard of. You may have heard of Space Dandy. I don't know. I don't know your life. Why is Space Dandy awesome? It is, to me, an inside-out version of Cowboy Bebop. Like, what if instead of Cowboy Bebop being a kind of dramatic action show with a lot of funny moments, what if instead it was a sitcom with a lot of comedy that also has the ability to turn around and rip out your heart and stomp on it? And you may think, okay, a sitcom, is that really that good? Yes, it is. Because sitcoms, people do like them, or else they wouldn't be a thing. I especially would say that I think that Space Dandy is a sitcom because everything resets at the end of every episode. Whatever's happened, everyone's been turned into a zombie. They're fine now. Don't worry about it. The fabric of time and space has been destroyed. Everyone's been turned into a 2D pixel. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Next episode, they're all back. They're on the spaceship. They're still doing their stuff. So there's not really an overarching plot, except there kind of is. But like a lot of sitcoms, it's more implied in the spaces in between than just outright stated. So, is there character development? No. It's a sitcom. We don't really have character development. We do have characters get revealed over time. Even if their actions reset at the end of an episode, they still did them, so it still tells you about the character. Also, it's just fun. Who doesn't like something that's just a little bit fun and then turns you around and kicks you right in the heart? Is that just me? It's not just me. I know it's not. So basically, like, what if Spike from Cowboy Bebop was, like, more of a himbo and was really only moved character-wise, motivation-wise by, like, butts and boobies? And then just said the word boobies a lot, which is pretty funny, I gotta be honest. But additionally, it is beautiful. It is beautifully animated. I think it's just so stellar, and it's at such a high quality. And I had it on my wish list for many months because Crunchyroll said it was like Love is War. So I was like, I don't know, I really like that. But I kept looking at this promo. Guess I should show it to you now. So this is what they had on Crunchyroll to show you why you should watch this extremely excellent show. Like, what the heck is this? And you add on top of that, it's rated M. Like, y'all, I don't know if you watch a bunch of anime, and I would not say I've watched a bunch of anime, but I would say I've watched a small tasting menu's worth of anime, and like, I have seen the top of Booba Mountain. I have been to Mount Booba and back with anime. I have seen Food Wars, okay? And like, what on earth could be going on with this anime? If it's labeled mature, and that was not. And it turns out you can show booba, but you just can't say it. And so that threw me off. And then you combine, I didn't know that. I don't know anything, okay? You combine that with this, like, crime against trying to convince people to do things. Promo that's supposed to convince me to watch this show and made me be like, what is this about? That's why I think it's bad. Because I almost didn't watch something that I now think is brilliant because of this image. And that bothers me. So let's talk about what's wrong with it. Additionally, if you stay to the end, I will provide you a bonus bad promo. I will show you the best worst promo I've ever seen. What do I mean by that? Well, I guess you're just gonna have to hang out and find out. Now, aren't you? So this piece, boy howdy. All right, where to start? First of all, this is way too busy. There are too many characters here. There's too many characters and it's so visually dense. It's really difficult to tell what these characters are even doing. Like, we've got Miss Honey on a star. Okay, that's visually comprehensible. And we can see, sorry to you, sir, but I do not remember your name, Gorilla General. But I don't think that it is necessary or valuable or a good idea to try to jam every single character in your anime into one visual image. Especially when this is a sitcom show where characters are showing up regularly and disappearing and then we never see them again because everything resets after every episode. There are continuing characters that tend to show up more than once, but there's characters in here that I'm pretty sure we didn't see but one episode of, and so, like, what are they doing here? Why are they here? The amount of characters that have been jammed into this image makes it almost visually incomprehensible, so that's a huge problem. Thing number 2, this portrayal of Dandy, the character is off model. I was so convinced that this portrayal of Dandy is not congruent with his portrayal inside the show that I went and hunted up what I think are some model sheets that I found on a website that appears to me through Google Translate. I'm sorry, my Japanese is not that good yet. It appears that this was an auction for ephemera material from Space Dandy, and I think that this is the model sheet. We can see from this model sheet that it's not that we don't get, like, big open mouths from Dandy on occasion, and it's not that he never looks like, I don't know, mad, or I don't know, maybe he doesn't ever really look that angry. This is not a character that really gets angry, and this image is giving me a lot of anger, and jaw is a little bit too long. Eyebrows are right, but then there's, like, kind of scowly lines around them. It's just ever so slightly wrong. Like, this looks like an angry man, and Dandy is never mad. So I think that's just giving a false impression of what the show might be about. I've already said that it was too busy, but in addition, we have all of these extremely diagonal lines. And diagonal lines are really strong in a composition. The object of a good composition is to move the eye around the image in a pleasing way. For promo, often what the object of the composition is to move the eye to the name of the thing so people know what it is. Everything in this image is pointing up to the upper left corner, where there is nothing. There's nothing up here. And so there's just dozens of diagonal lines pushing upwards to this corner where there's not really anything happening. Dandy is looking at that corner. And so in addition to the strength of these incredibly strong diagonal lines that push you up to that upper left-hand corner, then we have the eye line of the main character, the only person who's really very visible in this jumbled, overstuffed composition, and his eye line is also going up to that same empty corner. Eye lines are incredibly strong because as human beings, we want to look at what other people are looking at. We want to see what they're looking at. And so to have all of these lines and the eye line go up to this empty corner, an empty corner where we also have a yellow and purple intersecting, and those are complementary colors. So when you put a yellow next to a purple, you're going to get a kind of strong vibration of color. This is why it's hard to talk about color theory, because you have to use words like vibration, but it's true. Like, putting yellow and purple next to each other is an incredibly strong choice. We have all of these lines, the eye line, the two complementary colors, and they're showing us nothing in this completely otherwise overstuffed image. I just don't know why you would do this. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not technically incompetent. These things have been composited together, it seems like, fairly well. There's so many of them that it must have taken some time to do, but just to, like, what end? Someone needed to be like, stop putting characters in here, stop, where are we going? I know Dandy's spaceship is up there, but what does that tell you? You don't know by this image that that is his spaceship. His spaceship, well, the bondage Statue of Liberty is up there too. We have to be incredibly careful with the diagonal lines that we include in compositions, because it is like shooting a rocket towards whatever the diagonal is going towards. So, like, is that where you want to go? And I don't think that this is where we want to go. I just find it a little bit inexplicable. What is this conveying? Unfortunately, what I've just shown you is what is on the promo page. I don't understand it. What I saw currently is an image where all of this has been cropped and the Space Dandy logo has been added, but the cropping, it alleviates some of the, like, my god, this is so busy issue, but it doesn't alleviate who is this person. This is not Space Dandy, this is Space Randy, and why is he so mad? And also, we still have these incredible diagonal lines pushing us up above where the actual name of the show is. So cropping it and adding the logo, I think it's a little better, but it doesn't help. You could have done so much less and it would have been better. So what would be better? There's two other promo images that are significantly better. So I really like this piece. First of all, we've got only the three main characters. We have Dandy, Meow, and QT, I think is the robot. I'm sorry, tiny robot, you were cute, but I'm bad with names. This is from AnimeNewsNetwork.com, or at least that's where I get it from. I like that the composition is forming a triangle. Dandy's kind of at the apex, and then we have the two coming down, and then we do have a diagonal here, but it's not cantilevered so extremely that it pushes you to a part of the image that you're really not meant to linger on. We have the triangle, it comes up, and then it kind of moves you around in a pleasing way. The two, like, light tings on his space lasers are really nice. And then that's like a nice use of like yellow and purple together, because the yellow and the purple are kind of distributed throughout the piece. And so they are kind of giving you like that pop of having two complementary colors next to each other. But it's not so extreme that it draws the eye to an unnecessary or unused, essentially, portion of the image. It's distributed throughout. We have this really nice blue in the planet, and then that's accented by other blues. We have a few different, like, shapes of stars. Everything's scattered in a really pleasing way so that the stars kind of make up the outer edges of the image and kind of pull you back into the main focus image, which is of the cast of the show. This is really nice. I like the triangularness of it is really good. But my favorite one is the one that I've labeled Dandy Good One. So this one is my favorite though. It's labeled from Bandai and Funimation. So I like this one. It is a little stylized, but it's stylized in a really interesting way to me. Once again, we have like yellow and purple working together, but the yellow and purple, the yellow in Dandy's arm against the purple of General Gorilla's cloak, give you that little ting, then you see the gorilla, and then his arm goes up, and then that pushes your eye up through the name of the show. This is promo, so you do want people to look at the name of the show. The rod? What is that? Scepter, I guess? The scepter that General Gorilla is holding kind of makes along the top of the Space Dandy, so you can see it's kind of integrated into the image, which I really like. I like this kind of almost watercolor-esque, like blue and greens in the background is really nice, and then the greens work with the red in the guitar. That's also a compliment. So then, you know, there's a lot of pop here. There's a lot going on, but the main focus is down through the arm, up through the hand, Space Space Dandy. And then we also have blue and orange together. We're working a lot of compliments here. But the way that the compliments are put together really does work. And it gives it like a vibe that shows you that this is kind of, maybe it's a little off kilter, maybe it's a little not what you were expecting, but there's so much artistry here. It really gives me something like special. Like if you took out the logo, this would still be a really cool piece. And we're kind of working still in like triangles. We have like some diagonal lines, but then everything, you need to push diagonal lines against other lines to continue to move the eye. If it's all one diagonal going in the same direction, then you're going to end up looking into one place. You really generally don't want that, unless it's what you do want. But then you need the place that people are looking at to be meaningful, to be purposeful, to not look like a mistake. The original piece with all of those diagonals, I just simply do not believe that the intentionality of that piece was to push everyone's eye up to an empty part of the drawing, because there's nothing up there, and this is promo. We don't have to guess at the artist's intentions when it's promo. I guess I just wish Crunchyroll would have used this one, because I'm pretty sure I would have watched this sooner with this image rather than this other image. Because this, with the guitar, the skull, what is that down below? Is it an eyeball? It's kind of cool. Look at, is it lightning? We got a lot going on here. Like, there's fun textural elements. It just looks really artistic and beautiful. And the show is really artistic and beautiful. I think it is more congruent with the actual thing that you would actually be watching, and is more likely to convince someone who is maybe on the fence about whether or not they would enjoy this show that, like, yeah, maybe I should check it out. That is what would make it good promo. I just don't understand why you would I don't understand why you would do this. Somebody knew what they were doing technically in how to use the tools, but the composition was, I guess, compromised. And who's to say that it was the artist's decision to do that in the first place? It may well not have been. Sometimes people want to get involved in making promo and all kinds of stuff, and then they don't know anything about composition or art, and they insist on things that are objectively bad, and then you just have to do it because that's your boss. But I don't know why this is like this. It could be so much better, because we have two examples of where it is better. It is a mysterious mystery. Thank you to all the intrepid travelers who have stuck through this, pretty technical explanation and, I don't know, technical, but, shop talk of a piece of art. I appreciate you. And so now here is your reward. The best, worst promo ever. The best worst promo ever is for the movie The Room, but it's not probably what you were thinking of. I'm just gonna do us all a favor here, and I'm not gonna do the standard video essay thing where I'm like, oh, maybe some people don't know what The Room is from Tommy Wiseau. I'm just gonna assume that you do know about The Room. The Room is like the Titanic of so bad it's good movies now. It's not in any way underground. There's been all kinds of stuff about The Room. Everybody knows about The Room. I'm just gonna assume that you also know about The Room. If you don't, I'll just go ahead and leave you a little Wikipedia link in the thingy down below. You can check it out. Oh boy, you've got some catching up to do, but also a very good time ahead of you if that's your thing. I kind of envy you a little bit. I wish I didn't know anything about The Room and I could watch it again for the first time, because boy, that was an experience. I mean, also, we were drinking, what is that stuff? Absinthe. It was a time. This is the regular promo for The Room. It is just a picture of Tommy Wiseau with The Room reflected letters over his head. It's a little weird, I feel like, to see the reflection going in front of the letters as opposed to behind them. an unusual choice, but, you know, it's not the worst choice I've ever seen, but pretty normal photograph, The Room. This is the one that kind of was everywhere, that everyone kind of knows about. But there's an additional second promo for The Room that I feel like maybe not as many people know about, and it is for the Blu-ray version of The Room. Here is the Blu-ray version of The Room. Is my favorite worst promo I've ever seen. Who did this? And what have you done here? Because, for one thing, the kerning, which is the space in between letters on each letter of The Room, is a little different. Because I just presumed that someone took the original photo. I am almost 100% sure this is the original photo. You got that little lock of hair on the left side of his face. It's the exact same pose. The lips are in the same position. Pretty sure this is the same photo. So I just kind of presumed that someone, based on my memory of this amazing promo for the Blu-ray edition, I just presumed that someone had, like, copied the photo over, like, slapped San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge under it, and then just, like, hit it with a blue filter. And now I'm not entirely sure that that is what happened. Upon, like, looking at it more, first of all, the lettering it's the same, but not. But I put this, like, I grabbed down this original promo with Tommy Wiseau's face, and I played with it in Photoshop to see if I could, like, recreate this. I don't really feel like I understand what happened here. I mean, clearly, we've blued everything. I guess I'm, like, burying the lead here. The reason why this is the best worst promo is because it's a Blu-ray. So they blued him. He is blued. I don't know who is the they in this instance. I don't know if Tommy Wiseau did this himself. It doesn't seem extremely technically competent, especially, like, I have a lot of confusion around what's going on with his eyes, because it kind of looked like someone took the smear tool and smeared his eyes shut. But when I tried to recreate this in Photoshop myself, I couldn't get it to work. I don't understand exactly how this was done. I mean, I'm more of an analog artist than a digital one. I tend to use digital stuff mostly for compositing and resizing, but what happened here? His eyebrows are gone. Whatever texturing is done makes his face look a lot. The face texture is, the roughness of it is kind of increased. I just love that whoever did this, let's just say presumably Tommy Wiseau is the one who did this, and, like, considering how much creative control he had over the rest of The Room, that he's the one that either made this or instructed on how it should be made. I just love the idea that Tommy Wiseau approached a Blu-ray version of The Room by making himself blue. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Here's why I think it's better. This is better, even though it's technically worse. Thematically, this is actually better, because when you look at the original promo for The Room, you have no idea what this is about, right? Like, let's just pretend like you live in a world where you've never heard of The Room and you don't know what it's about at all. And so you might think, based on this original promo, that you're getting some kind of indie movie that's, like, got a really serious tone. Maybe. But, like, when you look at the Blu-ray version, you know what you're getting here, right? Like, there's no way to look at this. When I am talking about what Tommy Wiseau looks like in the Blu-ray version, please don't misunderstand me that I am taking pot shots at his appearance in general. I am talking about the difference between the original version and the Blu-ray version. The Blu-ray version versus the original version, it looks like someone made a blueberry candle out of Tommy Wiseau's head and then started melting it. His face looks like it's waxy and melting at the same time. It's such a wild thing to put on an actual Blu-ray disc for a movie that I feel like it is more artistically coherent with the movie that you're actually getting when you watch The Room. This gives you a better idea of what you're getting yourself into than the original does. And that's why it's the best worst. It's the worst because this is one of the most technically incompetent things I've ever seen on a Blu-ray disc sleeve. But it's also the best because this change, it makes more sense with the movie that you're actually getting. And so in that way, I kind of love it and have thought about it fairly regularly for many years. It's a wonderful piece of art, this Blu-ray cover. I support it 100%. A person made this and they made it bad, but at least they tried. And in trying and making it bad, they actually made it better thematically than the original was. So in my last video, the JoJo video, I ended up making a lot of art for that video. I made collages and I made fan art and it was a hoot and a holler. It was a fantastic time. I loved it. And so I've decided to just keep going with that. So I made more art for this video. I guess it's fan art. So now I'm going to present to you my pieces. Well, I thought it would be fun to talk about, not just to show the fan art, but also to talk about how it was made, because talking about how art is made is fun. I didn't really have time to do that in the JoJo video because that video was already so long and there was so much art in it. But in this case, I've limited myself to 3 pieces. So first of all, I have an ink drawing of Dandy. Here is the original reference for that. I took the hand out because, y'all, I'm not trying to draw extra hands when I don't need to. Hands are difficult. So zip, take the hand out. I drew a kind of guideline drawing just with pencil, just regular mechanical pencil, number 2 Bic. And then I used Japanese sumi ink. It's also called manga ink. Yeah, this is Kuretake sumi ink. Very smooth for manga. I love working with sumi ink. I looked it up. It seems that this kind of ink originated in China, although I kind of knew it as Japanese calligraphy ink, which makes a lot of sense because the writing system is originally from China. Why do I like this ink? I like drawing with a brush. I like how saturated it is. It gives you incredibly dark darks, which is beautiful. And then you can make these incredibly beautiful sweeping lines, which look so lovely. Depending on how much you water the ink down, by a process of introducing different amounts of water to the ink, then you can create shadows, as I have done in this drawing. I did originally mess up. I dropped the brush, and I was like, oh no. I feel like it's difficult to describe the difference between working with a regular water-based ink and working with a sumi ink. I can just say that the ink feels very luscious to work with, but it also is so incredibly pigmented that if you put ink someplace that you don't want it, that's tough stuff, baby. That ink lives there now. That's where it is. If you happen to, say, for instance, flip a small palette over and get ink on your desk, then you may well be finding ink for months. I thought I cleaned that up and I still was finding it places ages afterwards. So, be careful with it if you're going to use it, but it is beautiful. Absolutely luscious to work with. I dropped the brush. You can see I tried to razor it off, but that was futility and foolishness. That was never gonna work. And even as I was trying to scrape it off with a razor, I knew it wasn't gonna work. If I had dropped it on the drawing itself, that would have been game over. I would have had to start over and do it again. But in this case, it was a little bit outside the field of the drawing. So what I did was I cut the drawing out and I glued it to another piece of the same. Is this a sketchbook? What is this? I don't know. I put stickers all over the front of it. Textured vellum surface. I guess sketchbook. We'll just go with sketchbook. And that's the Dandy drawing. I like it a lot. It's an anime. Generally, animes tend to come from manga. Not in this particular case, but using manga ink feels cohesive thematically. And also, I just really like this ink and I love to work with it. So that's that piece. Drop it on the floor. Alright, piece number 2. This is Meow from Dandy. Meow is not a cat. He's a Beetlejuicean, but Dandy calls him Meow. So I have fan art of Meow where I've replaced his face with the face of an actual cat. How I made this. This is canvas board with acrylic paint. The background is just acrylics. I drew stars. I painted in the stars in the background, gave it a little bit of highlight and shading, a little variation in lights and darks, just a little bit because I knew it was going to be the background. Then I came over that with a dot stencil. So I used a stencil of dots. I wanted there to be like regularly spaced dots because of the opening. There's a lot of dots in the opening, kind of giving me a lot of like screen tone, a lot of Ben-Day dots, and I just love these like pop art looking dots. It took so long to do the dots. Everything else did not take that long because the stencil was not as big as the canvas board, and so I had to do the dots and then moved the stencil, I think, 4 different times. And it was also a pain in the booty to clean up, but I really like how it looks, so I'm pretty happy with it. Using, I believe, mostly that like really full-bodied Liquitex acrylics because it's got a little bit of texture to it, which is nice. And then I sat down and drew Meow's body and hat. Well, that's not true. First, I picked out a cat head out of my collage ephemera section of my studio where I have everything. And this is, I have a lot of cat heads. I have a lot of old cat fancies that I've cut up to get the cats. And so this is a cat from an old cat fancy magazine. I basically made sure that the neckline would line up with the cat that I wanted to use, and then I drew off of that just with a regular pen. So for that, I used Precise V5 Rolling Ball Extra Fine. It's a Pilot Precise. I have Sakura pens. I do like them, but for this, I don't know. I used the Pilot Precise a lot when I was learning how to draw, and so it's just kind of an old standby. So the liner work is done with the Pilot Precise, and the interior colored bits are alcohol marker. Then I just glued it all down to the background. Just a note on alcohol markers, if you aren't aware of this, they are not light fast. That means that they will fade in UV light, so this is not actually suitable for regular display. I think if you put it under some UV glass, it might be okay, but I'm honestly not sure. Alcohol markers are great for illustration, but they're not really great for long-term pieces of art because of that reason. So a year from now, if I hung this up and it was in regular UV light, it would look faded. For fine artists, it's not really a usable material, but for this is for a video, and so it really is more of an illustration. And for illustration, it's perfect. And I do really like working with alcohol markers. I think they're really nice and give you these really kind of beautiful colors, and yeah, it's just fun. I was not going to make an additional piece of artwork for the Room Blu-ray until I guess I decided that I was. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I kind of had this idea, especially with the idea of his blueberry kind of melty face. But also, I had talked about this on my stream. So I was just kind of like describing the Blu-ray cover. And one of my stream regulars, Will, said that it made them kind of feel like Tommy Wiseau was drowning because of all the blue and the hair kind of melting into the background. And I was like, oh, what an interesting concept. And then it kind of wanged me out of the blue one day, Ursula from The Little Mermaid. And so I have combined Ursula's tentacles and Tommy Wiseau's head to make this blue Ursula Wiseau piece that you're seeing now. I made it with, well, first I took a pencil, like just a regular mechanical pencil. I drew the basic like elements of the face, and then I used full body kind of the thick Liquitex, except in the purples because I realized I didn't have a good Liquitex light purple, so I've now remedied that. But that one, that's the lighter purple is an apple barrel acrylic paint, but this is just acrylic paint. It's on a canvas board, and it was an incredible amount of fun to do. I did kind of an original pass, and then I came back through and added some more kind of shadowing in the face, and I think it turned out really well. I don't know that I'm gonna like hang this up anywhere. It's probably gonna go in the same plastic tub in the garage labeled video art. It was fun to make. Hopefully it's fun to look at. And that's the first episode of Anime Art School. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm kind of spinning the wheel of fortune here a little bit by calling this a series, but I'm just putting it out there to the universe. I sure would like to maybe make some more of this. Hopefully I will, but you know, with the ADHD and the long COVID, it's in the hands of fate. So I guess we'll all see together whether or not I do. If you like this video, why not come and check out my Twitch stream? We have a real fun bud time, so come on over if that's something that sounds like it would be fun to you. You can also give me a like or a subscribe. That's it. That's the end of the video. Okay, goodbye.